What's up, you guys? Today I'm going to show you how to make this super awesome custom Spartan axe. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our hatchet. I just got this one from Walmart. It was like 14 bucks. It's the Ozark Trail brand. You should be able to use pretty much any hatchet you want to for this, and it should work out just fine. And the first thing that I'm going to do is take some sandpaper. I just got some 120 grit and also some 220 grit, and I'm just going to sand off this the finish that's on this wood, just so that we can carve it and torch it properly without trying to torch the sealer that's on here. So I'm going to go at it first with the 120 grit and then with the 220 grit, and we'll see if we can get all this stuff cleaned off of here. Alright, now we got that all sanded down. Make sure that you wear a dust mask when you're doing that so you don't breathe in all that crap. And next up, we're going to start the designs on the wood. So I just printed out some stuff here that I'm going to carve onto it. So I got the words that I'm going to carve into the handle, maybe right about here in the middle. And then printed out some other stuff here that I might try and do this small one up in the top left. I might put that one right just right at the top here. And the way that I'm going to get those on there is I just got some of this carbon transfer paper, and I'll just be folding that around it and then putting the paper over it and then tracing it onto there. And I can go ahead and link this down below if you'd like to order some, but I'm just gonna try and get the paper kind of taped on there with the carbon paper below it, and then try and trace it out really nice. And let's see how it turns out. So you're gonna do the darker side face down, and then you just want to get it positioned. And that feels like that's pretty much centered on there. All right, so and then what I'm gonna try do is just do my best to just tape that in place. Alright, so I might have to just kind of hold it in place, and let's go ahead and trace it out. And I'm just going to go back and forth over it just to kind of push it down. Alright, so I think I got it all traced out. Let's go ahead and see how it looks. Beautiful. So as you can see, now I got a really nice outline there. It's not perfectly center, but that's okay. Here's a just a little bit of a better look at that. As you can see, just traced right onto the back there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and trace this one right here. I'm just going to put it right below the blade. Alright, so as you can see, I got that one on there now. Alright, so next up, I'm going to take my Dremel. I just got a Dremel 3000, and I have a flex shaft attached to it. And I got a little dust fan on there and a 106 carving tip. And there you go, that is what it looks like. Just a little circle tip on there with some blades. And what I'm gonna do is just go through and just outline around the edges of these, just on the outside of where I penciled. And I'll just use this to get my initial carve in there. And then after, I'll go through with a sanding tip, and then I'll go through and sand it out. So let me just show you what it looks like. And when I do this, I put my Dremel on full speed and just try to go nice and easy. And usually I'll just go back and forth and just lightly, you know, don't push too hard. Try and control how hard you push, and then that'll give it a nice even carve. But let me show you how it looks. All right, so I went ahead and did most of this, and then I just did one letter just so that you can see. And see, I just went around the whole thing. And then after, we'll go ahead and I might do it a little bit deeper. And then we'll go ahead and sand off those outer edges, and that'll give it a really cool look to it. And the same with this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish getting those carved out, and we'll go from there. All right, now that I got all these outlined, I'm gonna go ahead and put on this tip right here. It's actually made for like grinding, but I think it works fine for sanding. And I'm just gonna go around and just get rid of all these edges and try and smooth it out. Alright, so I just got done with the Dremel. I actually went and put that carving bit back on and just dug it out a little bit deeper. And then I lightly sanded over those edges. And now I'm just going to grab some 220 grit sandpaper. And then I'm just going to lightly sand over just to get the dark stuff off of there. And then I'll just get the rest of the stuff off of there. And then we will be ready to torch it. Alright, so I got that all sanded down, and as you can see, it turned out pretty clean. So next up, I'm just gonna take my torch, and then we're just gonna lightly torch over it. So I just got my Bernzomatic propane torch, and just start nice and slowly just because you don't wanna burn it too dark. And I'm kind of burning it at an angle so that it doesn't torch the groove. All right, so I'm just gonna finish torching it up, but that is what it looks like. All right, as you can see, we got it all torched now. I think I'm just gonna quickly go through and just clean up some of these, like some of the dark spots in there, and just to make it pop a little bit more. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm just gonna do it real quick just to make it, I feel like it'll make it stick out a little bit more, but it's just a personal preference. Alright, so I went through and cleaned that up, and as you can see, it pops out really nice now, and it looks really nice and clean on there. So next we are going to move on to the blade. So I just printed out some more stuff here, and what I think I'm going to do is just put just half of the helmet right on the edge of this blade, just so that it pretty much so that the blade just runs right along here. And I'm just going to use that this paper again to trace that onto there. And then I also got this flag stencil right here that I'm going to use to I'm just going to put a section of it on here. And then I think I'm also going to put just like an 1/8 inch in from the edge, or maybe like a 1/4 inch. I'm just going to put a line that just runs right along the blade. So I'm going to get all that marked out, and then we will be ready to start engraving it. All right, so I got this on there. I just Sharpied that on there. And then to get these little lines around the border, I just held my finger like that and just ran it along the edge. And then I just got my my Spartan helmet. I had to redo that like 3 or 4 times because I misplaced it. But what I'm gonna do now is take my Dremel, and I just got this diamond head wood engraver, or I'm sorry, metal engraver on there. And it is a number right in this bottom right corner, 7134. And I'm just gonna go through and just start outlining all this stuff, or pretty much just, you know, doing it right on the line. And I'm just gonna go around and try get it, you know, just try get it somewhat deep. I'll show you how deep I do it after I get going on it, but I'm just gonna pretty much go through and just outline all this, and then we'll be ready to move on. And for this, I do it the same as the wood. I just go back and forth, and that kind of helps me. And then just try keep your hand in the same spot, and then just try and like just swivel it back and forth, and you know, not have it hover, because I feel like that makes it easier to mess up. But if it's planted down, I think that helps a lot to keep it nice and steady and to not have any screw ups. So let's see how it goes. All right, so now we are done with our engraving. I don't know if you can tell how deep it is. It's not super deep. It's just right through the surface, just enough to have it a little bit of an indent. And now I'm going to take some of this Rust-Oleum Protective Enamel oil-based black paint, and then I'm just gonna take a rag, and I'm just gonna get a little bit on the end of it. And then what we want to do is just wipe over it so that it will get in the grooves. And then we just want to wipe it off the face of everything else, but we want it to stay in the grooves. So all right, now that I got everything covered, I'm just gonna get a clean part of this rag and just wipe it all off now. All right, so that is what it looks like now. I think I might go over it one more time and try to get a little bit more in there. I don't think I got it in everything, or I don't think it stayed anyways. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try go over it one more time. All right, and I think there's still a little bit on it here and there, but I kind of like the look of it like that, have it a little bit darker. All right, now that we got the blade finished up, what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and quickly tape it off, and then I'm going to use some of this Minwax fast drying polyurethane clear gloss sealer, and I'm just gonna spray a couple coats onto this handle just since I sanded the old sealer off of here. And that should give it some good protection. You could probably use other sealers too, or also like sealers that are in a can. I'm just gonna use this stuff just because I got it. And then we're gonna go ahead and spray a couple coats on here and let it get all dried up, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so I got about 3 coats of sealer on there. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the paper, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so there it is. And I think that turned out really nice. Got a nice glaze on there. Please let me know if you guys have any questions down below, and I'd be super happy to answer them. If anybody has any advice or tips that might help with a project like this, I'd also like to hear those down below. I'll go ahead and link everything that I used in the description if you'd like to order anything. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe. Also, I'd love to hear any video recommendations that you guys might have, things that you might want to see. I'm always open to any suggestions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and good luck on your projects.